We're back on the SportsMax Zone. The University of Technology, UTECH, has been forced to suspend its athletics program due to the cash crunch brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. The contracts of all sports coaches, including senior track and field coaches Paul Francis and Stephen Francis, have not been renewed for the academic year, which starts in September. Paul and Stephen Francis, of course, run UTECH's track and field program under a Memorandum of Understanding with the institution. The brothers also operate the MVP track club from the school's Papine campus. Now, senior writer at SportsMax.tv, Leighton Levy, has been tracking the story and joins us now for a discussion. Leighton, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. As usual, always great to have you on to tap into your reservoir of track and field knowledge. What does this story mean for UTECH's, track and field program? Because it is the most decorated aspect of UTECH's produce to world athletics. Starting from your days, you were there at one point. I guess we'll talk about that soon as well, when we talk about your prowess as a sprinter several decades ago. But what does this story mean, Leighton?
Well, it's I had a discussion with Camilla Hilton last night. She's the Dean of Sports and Sciences at UTECH. It doesn't sound like a cash crunch. It sounds like the college is trying its best to navigate what potentially is a very difficult situation for student athletes coming in for for August, because the school year starts at the end of this month. And they are saying that they're not sure how many students they're going to be able to allow onto campus. Therefore, that means that might affect teams training together, because, as you know, it's not just the track and field program. It's badminton, it's football, it's all the sports programs at UTECH. So it sounds to me, based on what they're saying on the surface, certainly, that it's how they're trying to find out how best to function within the COVID pandemic, given the challenges that they face with thousands of students looking to come into school in just about 2 weeks' time.
But given what UTECH has provided, both nationally and internationally, to the sporting landscape, how worrying is this development?
It is potentially worrying, but in real terms, the UTECH track program specifically, if you look at what has happened at intercollegiate champs over the past few years, they've lost ground to the likes of a GC Foster and, in some instances, the University of the West Indies. There are even some people within the fraternity itself who believe that UTECH, a school that has produced Shelley and Fraser Price, Sharon Simpson, Asafa Powell, who are all part of the UTECH college program, not just the MVP setup, that the college has fallen down the pecking order. So they could lose some credibility now, especially since, according to Ms. Hilton that I spoke with last night, that no new sports scholarships will be, up to this point, they have not offered any schools some sports scholarships for the current academic year, which means that anybody who would have been perhaps recruited thinking that they're going to UTECH will start to look at other options, looking at perhaps the University of the West Indies, GC Foster, even Michael, or looking to migrate to what is a potentially difficult situation in the United States as we speak. But right now, it doesn't help them any at all by the suspension of this program, because I have not heard so far of any other collegiate program in Jamaica, sports program in Jamaica, that's been suspended because of the COVID pandemic. So it begs to the question of how much this will impact on UTECH's credibility as a sporting school, a school that has had a strong tradition in that regard.
Yeah. For younger viewers, Leighton, I want to make the point that before UTECH was UTECH, it was the College of Arts, Science and Technology, CAST, when you were there. And you were part of a track and field sprint program there on a 4x1 team that was highly celebrated under Dennis Johnson's coaching. Do you consider yourself an embryonic figure in the College of Arts, Science and Technology that eventually became UTECH?
Not really. I was part of a program, more management than anything else, of the the Bolts of Lightning, which was the first track club in Jamaica to break 40 seconds. I was
what leg did you run, Leighton?
Chicken.
I couldn't make it on the team. That's the thing. We had Boswell, Michael Nevers, what's Beefhead's right name, and of course Wayne Watson. I was always on the periphery. So it wasn't even a matter of legs. It was a matter of just being able to support the team as best as I could because the guys were just too fast.
Late night whispered when Lance asked that question. I said chicken leg.
that was too good a team, eh?
Leighton, earlier when Lance was speaking to you, you mentioned that, of course, UTEC will not be offering any new scholarships. What happens to these students that are already on a scholarship?
Well, according to Ms. Hilton, those students who are already on scholarships at UTEC, sporting scholarships, they will be there. The school has an obligation to them. They'll be attending classes. The thing is that they said that the not renewing the contracts is only a temporary measure while they determine which programs they'll be able to continue with. And some of those contracts might be renewed in the second semester, which is in January. So I don't know how that would impact, for example, the track program or the football program. And a lot of it will depend also on what the Jamaica Intercollegiate Sports Association decides on how they will proceed with whatever programs they're having for this season, because the football competition would normally start just about in September. Track and field training, and of course, meets will probably start later on in the year, going into January. So those delays certainly will have an impact on the respective programs. So, right now we just wait to see which programs are going to be allowed to continue as opposed to which ones will not be allowed to continue given the circumstances.
But Leighton, here's the thing that I'm not getting, and it's a pity we don't have more time than we do. I'm not clear why it is that the contracts have not been renewed, because you and I know that these contract sums are not paid by virtue of subscriptions from student athletes. Neither are they dependent on sponsorships. These are funds which would have been earmarked in budgets prepared in the cycle before. So there's a line there for coaching, for administration, that does not change regardless of the circumstances, given how UTEC is funded. Why is it necessary to not renew the contracts, deny the coaches that certainty of income, deny them that income, but then say that maybe down the road in the second semester we could sign these contracts? It's not making sense given the information that is out there.
And I agree with you entirely, and it's something that what Lance at the introduction suggested that it could be financial, it could very well be. The thing is that I have nothing to support that information to suggest that it's an economic situation. I spoke with the president, the acting president of UTEC last night, Professor Colin Giles, and the impression I get from the conversation that we're having was that basically this is about the COVID protocols that they have to observe, because he explained also that in the dormitories, there will only be one student allowed per room. So all of this, the broader context of it, George, is there's still a lot of questions to be answered, and I think I'll be working on it to try to get some answers in that regard. But for right now, I'm not quite sure. I can't honestly say if this is a matter of finances that they're trying to mitigate against.
But here's the thing, my friend. You and I know how the dorm fees work. So that's revenue coming in. So where you had 3 to a room, you only have 1 now. Clearly you're having a fall off in revenue. But it's not as if monies earmarked for paying coaches can be rerouted to paying for something else. That's not how it works. The budget is line by line, and the line has to go to what the line is corresponding with. So it's not as if you can shuffle around the funds. And even so, if you're not expecting 10, 11,000 students on the plant as you would under normal circumstances, and you're offering distance learning as the University of the West Indies has set out and as UTEC will have to follow given the realities of COVID-19, then it costs you less to maintain conditions on the plant, given that you're catering to a significantly smaller student population. So again, you know very well that it's all about the money and where the money leads to. So we can agree that the money can't be shuffled around. We can agree that the money will be there. The money has been earmarked to pay the coaches. So why? I just find it strange that this decision has been made. But I wait on you to do more digging.
Yeah, I'm going to dig on it because I'm going to follow it up. The thing is, as I said, last night, I got this information late last night. I had to scurry as quickly as I could to put something together. So I didn't get a chance to make the necessary queries. And of course, some of the coaches who I tried to reach last night were unavailable. The ones that I did manage to reach weren't willing to go on record. Because I don't know, perhaps because of embarrassment or maybe because there are other implications to consider. But I'm definitely going to be looking into it and finding out whether or not this is also a matter of cash that's not available for sporting programs this year.
Hear you on that. Thank you, my friend. Keep at it.
Take it easy, guys.
Good. That's the ex-UTECH sprinter, Leighton Levy. No, he was a good sprinter for sure, and Lance was asking him, and he was gracious enough to say that.
CUTS actually, not UTECH.
Yeah, for sure. I was a sprinter at UTECH too, you know. I did some sprinting there.
We have to take a break. We'll be back.
No, I did some sprinting there. I ran Sports Day. I ran the Students' Council race, and I won twice. 100 meters.
Break time.